Welcome to Knock Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live from Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT with Rabbi Stuart, the man Federow from Big H, Houston, Texas. Welcome back, Rabbi. How are you today?
Good to be back. Missed you.
Good to have you back. Missed you as well. Hope you had a wonderful Father's Day.
Thank you. I hope you did too.
Yes, I usually call you on those days. I guess we had so much family over.
Well, you were visiting. You were out and about.
Right. Yeah, it was a very busy week. That's for sure. Hello, Michael Arlen. First one in the tune-in box today. Well, good deal. Good deal. Wow. So, I'm looking forward to, what was it, July 26th, right? For Rabbi.
Today is the
July next month, 25th.
Oh, yes. I mean, when Tovia comes here and
yes.
Beinenu.
Yes, exactly.
Shannon.
Yes, very good.
That's going to be great. That's going to be wonderful. There's plenty of room. People want to sign up and come to the evening lecture.
Yep.
You know, the private, whatever you call it, at the restaurant Saturday night is full up, pretty sure.
Nice.
The Sunday afternoon, meet and greet. But the actual lecture, the big lecture, Sunday night, need people to come, sign up, don't hesitate.
Right, for sure. Hello, Susan. Welcome back again. Larry Beck, brother. He's working hard over there. All right, well, good deal. Okay, so here is the plan for tonight. We did do a series of 3, which you found earlier for us. Thank you.
Yes, we started to do all 10, and we only got as far as 3.
Okay, so we're doing a read, like basically the most misunderstood verses and the 10 Commandments. So we did 3 different shows. Did 1, 2, and then 3. Then we paused. And so instead of starting back up on 4 right now, I decided to go ahead and actually just do a summary of the 10 on this show.
Right, because the last 5 or 6, there are things that I want to say about it, but it's not going to take nearly the same amount of time.
Right. Hey, Shadman. So what we're going to do is, once we get started here, I'm going to put up a little timer. And the timer you'll be able to see as you watch. And even though it's only like 8 or 10 seconds off from live, you'll still be able to follow it quite nicely.
Right. Well, I'm also going to be reading and looking at my notes and stuff like that. So
got it.
Stop me.
Got it. Well, you won't need me to stop you as long as you.
Yes, I will.
Well, okay. All right. I understand then. So we'll go ahead and start. Just starting from the top. Hello, Crystal Cheney, Alan Brody. Good to see you guys. So, 5-minute timer on each one. Leave about roughly 5 to 10 minute schmooze.
All right,
including our startup time. So,
I'll summarize very quickly as best I can.
Okay.
Commandments 1, 2, and 3. What I said, I believe, about commandment number 1.
So we're starting now. Here we go. Timer is okay.
Yes. So what I wanted to say about commandment number 1, I am the eternal your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Why did Jews see it as a commandment? People forget that the word eternal, or I am the Lord, okay, Lord is a title, okay, eternal is a characteristic, okay, that we turn to a proper noun and name. But the 4-letter name for God, represented by the word eternal and represented by the word Lord, is a proper noun. It's a name. Okay, and if I say, I am Stuart, your rabbi for this show, it doesn't mean Rabbi William, it means me. Okay. So we see it as a commandment because it's commanding us that the God who brought us out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, is our God, whose 4-letter name is represented by the Yud, the Hey, the Baba, the Hey.
Okay. Rabbi, do me a favor. Tilt your camera down just a touch, please.
Oh, here, wait. Let me go to the... where are you? There you are. Okay. Like this?
Yes, like that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
That way you can relax a little bit. You can sit down some. To stand so high in your chair.
I'm going to go back to my... Okay. All right. So... First of all, I think that Christianity ignores why our number 1 is not their number 1. I think they ignore our number 1 as one of the commandments. First of all, the 10 Commandments were given to the Jews at Sinai. They weren't given to Christians at Sinai. Christianity is not the inheritors of Judaism or the covenant between God and the Jewish people, etc., etc. So when it says that I am the eternal God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, it kind of drives home the point that this isn't directed towards them. They were never in bondage in Egypt. Okay, literal bondage. We're not talking, oh, we're all slaves to something, this kind of stuff. Okay, what I said about commandment number 2, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself any graven image or the likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that's in the water underneath the earth. For right now, we're going to stop there. Okay, Catholicism, I believe, takes our number 2 and divides it into 2, so they still have 10. You shall have no other gods before me becomes their first commandment. Graven image becomes their second commandment. Okay, so I just want to clarify that when it says, you shall have no other gods before me, you don't have to see this as saying that it believes that there's really other gods. Okay, wealth is not a god. Okay, some people spend all their time trying to make money, they ignore God. Okay, but money isn't a god. Nobody gets on their knees to a dollar bill and bows down 10 times to a dollar bill. So when we talk about, oh, these are idols of the modern world, they're not idols, they're not worshipped. People just spend too much time on them and ignore God. But they're not gods, okay? And we don't really worship them. Dollar bill, it doesn't happen. Okay. Second thing that I said, okay, starts with verse 5. I forgot. When it says you shall have no other gods before me, even if you think that those are gods, you don't have them before God. Okay? You don't go to a person of God to pray to God. You don't go to the Son to get to the Father. You don't go to the Holy Spirit. You go to God directly. There's no intermediary. So even if you think something is God or someone is God or a part of God or a person of God, you don't go to them before going to God.
1 minute.
Walk into a church, listen to the sermon. It's all about Jesus. The only reason they might mention the Father is in relationship to the Son, because you can't have a father without being a child. So they're setting up the relationship. But they never talk about the Father as God. They only talk about Jesus as their God. So the point is that even if you think something is God, you don't have them before God. Straight to God.
Right.
Okay. Next thing I wanted to say begins with verse 5. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them, for I, the eternal your God, am a jealous God, visiting the sin of the fathers upon the children of the third and fourth generation of those that hate me, and showing mercy to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. And what I wanted to stress here is that this is not saying that the guilt for the sin committed by the parents is visited upon the children, that the children get the guilt for the sins committed by the fathers. Okay, we have the verses repeatedly through the Tanakh that people don't inherit guilt from sins committed by ancestors or by other people.
Right.
The best is Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 16.
10 seconds.
What?
You're not going to like this clock, are we?
I'm sorry, what?
I said 10 seconds. You're not going to like this clock thing, are we?
Yes. Well, no, but I'm on the third one, and we haven't gone 15 minutes.
Oh, well, you need to tell me when you're starting the next one. You said the next thing I want to say is...
I said the next commandment.
Oh, no. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Let me know. All right, that's okay. You're good. I'm going to ditch the clock. I think we'll be done before then anyway. Well,
maybe. Okay. What I said, though, is the following. I said Deuteronomy 24:16. No man shall be put to death for the sins of his children. No child will be put to death for the sins of his parents. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. So if God says everybody's put to death for his own sin, if it says that children don't suffer for the sins of the parents, and this is not only one place, this is throughout the Tanakh. Okay, what does it mean? Why would it say visiting the sin of the fathers upon the children of the third and fourth generation of those that hate me? The initial thing people respond with, it says, of those that hate me. So a child is getting punished for their own hatred of God, not because of what their ancestors did. And that's well and good, and it's one way to explain this. It's not my way to explain this. My way to explain this is a whole paragraph about idolatry. And to make it quick, instead of saying, okay, I can lean upon a wall, I can lean against a wall. Upon and against in that sentence doesn't change the meaning of the sentence. But here, you change the word upon to the word against, and it changes the meaning of the verse. For I, the eternal your God, am a jealous God, visiting the sin of the fathers against the children,
I see.
the third and fourth generation, means that God is going to hold guilty the fathers, the parents, if the parents sin against the children. Why is God so careful about children, and why does it appear to this in this paragraph? And the answer is that children get their understanding of God, their initial understanding, relationship with God, from their relationship with parents. If the parents are abusive, this is about child abuse. If the parents are abusive, then the children are going to get a warped view of God.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's going to create an image of God that's a false image, because the what they're keying off of for that image is their parents. And if the parents abuse the children in any way, shape, or form, if the children undergo any kind of trauma, they're going to get a bad view, a distorted view, an idolatrous view of God, because they're getting it through the parents who were abusive or creating trauma. And so what this is really about is child abuse, visiting the sin of the parents against the children to the third and fourth generation of those that hate me. Who are the third, the fourth generation? If you are the first generation, the second generation is your children, the third generation is your grandkids, and the fourth generation is your great-grandkids. And the way God set up the world is that, yes, there is a possibility that we might actually get to know our great-grandchildren. But if we get to know our great-grandchildren, we have the opportunity to abuse our great-grandchildren. And God cannot hold us guiltless for doing that. God cannot let that go, because it puts God in a bad light, because parents are the first image of God to their children. And the whole paragraph is about idolatry. So that's why it's in this paragraph, because the false image created of God by abusing children becomes a false image, and that's why it's here.
Okay, very good.
Okay. All right, now we're going on to the fourth commandment. Okay. Third commandment. We're now beginning the third commandment. Okay. We usually translate the third commandment as, you shall not take the name of the eternal your God in vain, for the eternal will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Does God really care about our speech that much if we curse? Okay. This isn't about cursing. It's not about speech, although it includes speech. What God cannot tolerate is hypocrisy. And this is a statement against hypocrisy. The biblical Hebrew, lo tisah et shem God, okay, do not lift up the name of God, is what that actually means. Not take, but lift up, carry. What does it mean to carry the name of God? What does it mean to lift up the name of God? It means to show yourself as being pious, as being religious, as carrying what God carry, not carrying, but carrying what God represents. But if you turn around and abuse that or misrepresent it, show yourself to be a hypocrite, all religion looks bad. Okay, when Jimmy Swaggart, Jim Baker, any religious leader does something stupid, shows themselves to be a hypocrite or a liar regarding religion, all religions take a hit. God takes a hit, which is why God cannot hold guiltless those that are hypocritical about God. Best example, quickest example I can give you, which I gave, we only got to 3, this one, is picture a man who appears to be very religious. He wears black clothing. He has tzitzit sticking out of his pants, the fringes on his pants. He has a big beard. He has payas. He wears the yarmulke, okay, robbing a bank. The image he's presenting is he's religious, he's pious, he's observant, he believes in God, he follows his commandments, But what he actually does is dress like someone who's religious. He's robbing a bank, as in thou shalt not steal, which we'll get to later. Although there's not really a whole lot to say about that tonight. But, okay, the point is that presenting yourself as religious and then doing something notably wrong, okay, means you are casting aspersions on God, on the Bible, and on religion in general, and depending on what you're presenting yourself as, that religion specifically. So God can't let that go. Just like God can't let that go with children getting an idolatrous view of God in the second commandment. In the third commandment, God cannot let that go because God has to protect his own reputation, so to speak. So don't lift up the name of the eternal your God in vain means to present yourself as religious, as pious, as observant, and then showing yourself to be a hypocrite. Okay. This might take shorter because I'm really rushing through everything. It took me an hour the last time to just do the first three. Okay, so now it's number 4. Okay. First, I am the eternal your God. Second, no other gods and graven images. Third was lifting up the name of God. Now we come to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Okay. Number 4. I don't know why people don't understand the explicit text that it says. Okay. You ask 100 people, okay, what is the purpose of the Sabbath? I will be willing to bet 80, 90 of those 100, 80, 90% of the people will answer, it's to rest. No, it is not to rest. The whole point of Judaism is to take the mundane, the profane, the common, the everyday, and make it special, make it set apart, make it holy. Holy means set apart, special, distinctive. Okay. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it rested? No. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. How do we keep the Sabbath holy? The means to the end of keeping it holy, the means is to rest. Why? Because the other 6 days of the week, we labor. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the eternal your God. In it you shall do no work. So it's by resting. Okay, you got 7 chunks of time called days. For 6 of those days, you work. You do what you have to do. You create. You are not just part of creation. You're not just enjoying creation, but you are in fact partnering with God by creating. And so the 7th day, you are taking a chunk of time called a day, and you are making it different, distinct, set apart from the other 6 chunks of time called days. And the way in which you are separating it, making it different, holy, making it holy, is by resting on that 7th day. Okay? On the 7th day, the 7th day is the Sabbath to the eternal your God. In it you shall do no manner of work. You nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days the Eternal made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Eternal blessed the 7th day and hallowed it. Hallow. L'kadsho, to make sanctified, set apart, different, distinct, to make it holy. Okay. 2 more things I want to point out, if you happen to have the text in front of you. To my knowledge, I don't know if there's others. Maybe there is. Okay. I don't know when these others, if they exist, when they came about. But the 10 Commandments is one of the first, if not the first time, that you have 2 kinds of laws. I'm not all that clear existed before it. Maybe it did. I don't know. The first kind is humane treatment of animals. It's not just people who are to rest on the 7th day, nor your cattle. Okay? Cattle were beasts of burden. Don't forget that. Okay? They weren't just, milk cows. They were bulls. Okay, they pulled wagons. They were beasts of burden. So, William, do you like the Rolling Stones?
Do I like the Rolling Stones? Yes.
I won't be your beast of burden. Okay, sorry, I had to. Whenever I do the Ten Commandments, you know I have to do that. Okay, so, all right. So, the reason why it says cattle is not to just be nice to cows. It's because they were beasts of burden and they deserve the right to rest too. Okay. Second thing I want to point out. Neither your son nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant. Okay? From the word eved, meaning slave. So your slaves. In other words, again, I could be wrong. Maybe I am wrong. I don't know. But I think this is one of the first times that you have a legal text give rights to slaves. It's not just the owners, okay, but it's the indentured servants, whatever you want, technical term,
right?
Okay, it's the slaves themselves who had the right to rest on the seventh day. It was universal rest. Okay, universal education. Everybody gets an education. Okay, well, this is universal day of rest. Unheard of. I think it was Socrates. Someday I'm going to look this up. I think it was Socrates who called the Jews lazy because they had the audacity to demand resting one day in 7. Everything that's ever been said about the black community has already been said about the Jewish community. Mm-hmm. They're shiftless and lazy. Socrates called the Jews shiftless and lazy because they demanded one day in 7 as a day of rest. Okay? There's a laundry list of what they said about the black community, slaves. It's the same thing you'll find against Jews and all sorts of different other than Jewish cultures about the Jews. Okay, so you have this text, okay, that not only grants rights to the family, to human beings, it also recognizes as human beings your manservant and your maidservant, and it recognizes as worthy of the attention of God, because remember who's speaking here to the Jewish people, it's God, the animals in your household. And you should take a look at the whole structure of Jewish law regarding animals. You know, and you've probably all heard this already, but whatever. Before you have dinner, your animals have to be fed. Okay, they eat before you do. Even on Shabbat, the cows have to be milked. The animals that give milk have to be milked. You can't let them be miserable. You have to take care of them. The whole kashrut thing. Okay, you want to argue about this systematic way of killing? Go right ahead. I'm not going to bother. But it was an issue to the Jewish people. It was an issue to God, who commanded us on Sinai to care about the feelings and the pain and suffering of our animals. I think that's very rare. I don't think that's very commonly found in the ancient world. I wouldn't be surprised if compassion and being against cruelty and being against cruelty to animals isn't a very new thing outside of the Jewish community. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Now we're going to the next commandment, okay, which is verse 12. Okay. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the eternal your God gives you. You know, it's not a whole lot of times in the Bible where a commandment is given and then the reward for that command is right then and there. You do this, here's the reward. Here is the reward for it. Okay, that's very exceptionally rare. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the eternal your God gives you. Why? Why would how long you live have to do with honoring your father and your mother? I'm not quite sure I know the answer to that. I'm sure there's plenty of commentaries, okay? But the point is that I'm making is that God gives the reward for doing something immediately after telling us to do it. And by the way, here in Exodus 20, the Ten Commandments list, first list, not Deuteronomy, but here. Anyway, the point is that here it says father first and mother second. Later in the Torah, it lists the mother first and then the father second. So none of this baloney about, well, the father was listed first and all this other stuff. It's whatever. Okay. But it gives the reward for having done the commandment. Very rare in the Bible. Okay. Next commandment. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6 commandment. You know this already. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. How many times in Christian translations do you see the term kill instead of murder? And this, by the way, is very, very important, especially now. I don't know if you noticed. But the word is tirtzach, not teharog. The word is rooted in retzach, not in harag. Harag is to kill. If the text said thou shalt not kill, you could not defend your house against ants.
Right.
You could not slap at a mosquito trying to give you a disease by sucking your blood. If it said kill, you can't. Start over. What's the difference between kill and murder? And this is a very important distinction to be made.
Right.
Kill. Start over. Why do I keep doing that? I don't know. Regardless of which word you're going to use, kill and murder means to take the life of another. What is the distinguishing factor between kill and murder? The act is the same. I am taking another's life. The distinguishing factor is an aspect of the status, the state of being of the one who is being killed, the one whose life is being taken. Okay? The difference is that murder is not just taking the life of another. Murder is taking the life of another that is an innocent. If a mosquito is seeking to take my blood, it's not an innocent. It's doing what it's supposed to do because of its genetic makeup, and if it's going to survive, it needs blood, yada, yada. But the point is that it's attacking me. It's not an innocent. If I am in war and I am fighting against an enemy who is trying to take my life, okay, I have the right of self-defense. That is not an innocent. That not being an innocent means I am killed. However, if I go into a grocery store in order to rob it, and in the process of the robbery, I take the life of the person behind the counter, the person behind the counter is not seeking to murder me, is not seeking to take my life. They're trying to defend their possessions, namely, whatever I said, grocery store. Okay? If I take their life, I have now taken the life of an innocent. Someone who's not seeking to take my life, but is only seeking to defend themselves. Okay? That's murder. Because the person whose life is being taken is an innocent. Okay? So murder is taking the life of an innocent. Killing is taking the life of another. Is this clear, William?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Crystal.
All right. Why am I emphasizing this now? Look, I'm politically conservative. I would hope you figured that out by now.
Right.
Okay. So there's this thing out there, mainly among the millennials, although it's seeping up into other quarters, okay, where they will not use the word kill and they will not use the word murder. They talk about unliving somebody. Unlive. I don't kill you, and I don't murder you. I unlive you. That person did not commit first-degree premeditated cold-blooded murder by taking their own life. It's called suicide. They unlived themselves, completely destroying the significant difference that distinguishes between thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not murder. I don't get it.
Right.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. Maybe it's a Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, popular media where if you use those terms, you're going to get censored or canceled, or your Facebook page will get taken down, or your whatever. Maybe it's a response. So to avoid, being canceled or being removed or having the Facebook page you put up taken down against your will, they're using language to avoid that from happening to them. Whatever the reason, it is taking the distinction away, which hurts our language, and it hurts us by doing so. There's a major difference between thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not murder, and by saying thou shalt not unlive someone, you are destroying that distinction and you are hurting society. Okay. All right. You shall not commit adultery. What is adultery? And we're going to be real careful here. What is adultery? I'm going to get flack for this one.
Of course you will.
Probably get flack for the other ones too.
Right.
Okay, but what is adultery? Adultery is anything that interferes with a relationship of a couple. Okay? I'm trying to avoid the use of the term marriage. Okay? It is anything that interferes with the relationship between a couple. Adultery is the act itself of doing something that destroys that relationship, like, number one, first thing people would think about, having sex with someone who is not your spouse. Having sex with someone who is not your spouse implies they have to be married. So it's obvious. So an act a person commits can be adulterous without necessarily being adultery. I'm just getting really technical here because that's the definition of our words. Okay, adultery means you have a legally defined relationship. Okay, I think that should be expanded. I think that needs to be looked at more carefully, because we have an invention now that leads more to divorce than any other invention ever created by human beings. One could argue that telephones enabled people to, shh, my wife doesn't know I'm talking to you, so I got to be quiet. Right. Okay, that telephones can do that.
Right.
But more than anything, the computer has led to more divorce. Why? Because there is something called emotional adultery. And if there is emotional adultery is where you're not committing an act of sex with someone who is not your spouse. You are committing an act that goes to destroy the relationship between you and your spouse. It's not adultery, but it is adulterous, of or pertaining to adultery. Okay? So, you have a friend who's very close, and you start to really like them in a romantic, sexual the point is you'd rather be with them than your spouse. okay, or your SO, your significant other. Maybe you haven't walked down the aisle yet. Okay, the point is that what you are doing damages the relationship. Okay, the past Vice President Pence, Vice President under Trump, got into a whole lot of flack when he said to a reporter, "I will not go to a restaurant and have dinner with a woman who is not my wife." Why? Because it's not adultery. They're not engaging in sexual activity. But the act of doing it can lead to emotional adultery. The act of doing that can, can in fact lead to an adulterous relationship. It's not adultery, it's adulterous. Meaning it's harming the relationship of someone and their significant other, their spouse. And anything that does that may not be adultery, but is adulterous. And a person who engages in that really needs to think about it. Like Pence, if you don't put yourself into a situation where that can grow and develop, it will not grow and develop. You are protecting, you are acting to protect the relationship. And that's that I think that is what God means here. Okay, you shall not commit adultery. Next one, you shall not steal. Okay, why is this? By the way, I should tell you something.
Okay.
Accept it, don't accept it, makes no difference to me. But in commentaries, okay, the statement "you shall not steal" was actually understood as kidnapping. Not just stealing somebody else's purse, okay, not just stealing somebody else's cow, but explicitly stealing another person. We call that kidnapping. Why? Because in other places it also says "you shall not steal." And so "you shall not steal" in those contexts seem to be objects and things. Therefore they understood this "you shall not steal" to be referring to stealing people, kidnapping. Okay. I think every time it says "you shall not steal," it means taking something or someone or some entity or some whatever that's not yours. Okay, by the way, did you know that Judaism is one of the first places, at least again, I may be wrong. Okay, I haven't read every book ever written. Okay, but you have a right to your own ideas that you invent. You have the right to your own inventions. Copyright law, what we now call copyright law, is embedded in rabbinic commentary on this commandment, verse 15, "You shall not steal," and other places in the Tanakh. And it talks about a person has the right to obtain benefit from ideas or things that they create, their own creation. Which, by the way, is what stealing is. Taking away from someone else's livelihood because you're not paying them for the right to have it. And you want to talk about, what's it called? Copyrighted music. You know, now you don't have to do anything. I don't care what song it is. I don't care if you've heard it once when you were a child. If you can remember the lyrics or even one lyric. Okay, you can go to Google and type in lyrics and then whatever piece you remember, and it'll come up with probably the song you're thinking of. Or go to YouTube. But, 100 years ago, we would take our digital recorders or even our tape recorders, video recorders, and instead of going to the store and buying a song, we would violate this commandment of our 10 commandments and steal a copy to listen to later of someone else's creation, which is music. And that's goes back to Judaism, understanding this concept to not only not only to state, don't take somebody else's land. Don't move the marker that indicates the border between your land and somebody else's land, because you are stealing their property by moving the marker. Okay, it also has to do with ideas and creations, things that we now call copyright law. Okay, next one. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. This really is in a legal setting. This really has to do with being a witness, an aid. Not bearing false witness against your neighbor. It's a simple statement, but it has so much importance. In Judaism, in the Bible, you all know this already. I'm not telling you anything tonight that you haven't heard before. Or at least I doubt I am. But you need 2 witnesses to find somebody guilty. One person cannot be the only witness to a person's act, and it cannot hold up in a Jewish court. Okay, it can hold up in a Christian court. In a secular court, but not in a Jewish court. You need 2 witnesses. Why do you need 2 witnesses? Why would you need 2 witnesses? Because it becomes very difficult to lie. You get the 2 witnesses separate, you ask them questions. It's a court. It's a court of law. So when it says, you will not bear false witness, it really is talking more than anything, not about lying, okay, but explicitly lying in a court. Look, I forgot what TV show it was. Could have been MASH, maybe it was MASH, I don't remember, where they say basically, you can't go 24 hours without a lie. That our society, good or bad, okay, mainly bad, obviously, tell me, honey, does my tushy look too wide in this dress? Okay, our society, sometimes the little white lies we tell is the grease that allows society's mechanism to run. So, dear, did you like the dinner I made tonight? Isn't that a great recipe? Gag. Sure, it's wonderful. Okay, but a court of law, you can't do that. And these little white lies that we tell, and how we present ourselves as honest and fair people, okay, is a lot more difficult to belie if you have 2 witnesses or more than if you only have 1 person. Because 1 person can have all sorts of motivations, okay, ulterior motives. 2 people, it's much harder. The more people you get, are people going to disagree on elements? Yes, but overall, they'll have a pretty good idea of what happened. Okay, now comes to the next one, which is like really important to discuss, and that's the 10th commandment. Okay, Protestantism, by the way, takes the 10th commandment, verse 17, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is your neighbor's, and divides it into 2. To make 10, okay, they'll take the first commandment as the combination of idol and of graven image and other gods. They'll still take that as one commandment, but to get 10, they will subdivide the 10th commandment into 2, so you got a full total of 10. And they will say, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, manservant, maidservant, ox, ass, anything that is your neighbor's. They divide that up to give them 2. So I'm in a conversation at Rice University when I was the Hillel director for the city of Houston with an Episcopalian minister. And I don't even know how we got on the topic, but he said, I think I said something about somebody's car. I don't know, maybe my car was having problems. I don't remember. So I think I said something about, that's a great car. And this Episcopal minister said, "Oh, you're coveting." And I said, "How am I coveting?" And he said, "Because you want the car." I said, No, I don't want his car. And we got into an argument over the 10th commandment. Okay, we got into an argument over the meaning of the 17th verse. The 17th verse is very clear. Okay, Jewishly it's very clear. You shall not covet your neighbor's house, your neighbor's wife, manservant, maidservant, ox, ass, anything that's your neighbor's. But the emphasis is on anything that's your neighbor's. I can want a house like my neighbor's. I can want a wife like my neighbor's. I can want a manservant or a maidservant or an ox or an ass or anything like my neighbor's. The problem comes twofold with wanting exactly the same thing, the object that my neighbor owns. That's the issue with the 10th commandment. By the way, coveting is to really want something very deeply. Okay, it's an emotion. It's a desire. Since when does God judge? That's the wrong word. Since when does God condemn desires? I mean, surely, the difference between many differences between Judaism and Christianity is that I can have bad thoughts. We are made with a Yetzer HaTov, an inclination to do good, and we are also made with an inclination to do evil. And when I have a bad thought, a thought to do something that is bad, well, of course I do. Natural, normal. Okay? Of course I have a thought to do something bad. Okay? Somebody hurts me or hurts my child, you bet I'm going to have a bad thought about doing something bad to them. But it doesn't become a problem in Judaism unless I do something about it. Unless I move towards doing this horrible thing. Or not or, but or, I don't know how, whatever the English is. Okay, and that is if I dwell on it, if it takes over my mind, if it becomes like an earworm, like a song that just I can't stop singing to myself, I can't stop thinking it into my head. If my bad thought, I start obsessing over thinking about it, and there's a great line. I can't remember what it is, so I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Mm-hmm. It's not bad to think of a bird in a tree. It only becomes bad if you move into the tree to live with the bird. Something like that. I'm not quoting it correctly, but you get the idea. So it's obsessing over it or overthinking it and not, dwelling on it is also not a good thing. But truly, it doesn't become a bad thing unless you actually act on it. So why is the 10th commandment about a feeling, about an urge, about an obsession? Why? Because it can lead to the violation of the first 9 commandments. If I covet, let's talk about my neighbor's house. It might lead me to murder him. It might lead me to steal it. It might lead me to bear a false witness in a court of law against him so I get his house. It could lead to violating the other commandments. So in order to build a fence around the Torah, so to speak, because this is Torah, okay, we're told not to covet because God doesn't want us to act on it. And the more we dwell on it, the more likely we are to do something towards that. That's when you get into trouble. Is that quick enough to go through the 10 commandments?
Yes, that was a good smooth roll.
All right, I think that I forgot 80% of what I wanted to say, but at any rate.
That's okay, we've got about 10 minutes left. So.
All right. Okay. Cool. So, want to do anything else?
Looking at the YouTube chat to see if there's any questions.
I haven't even.
Guess I could have
looking at my thingy.
We could open the phone lines for a minute if you want.
If you want, I don't care. It's fine by me. Not the only Jews. Who's not the only Jews?
No, that was my comment. Somebody had said that Joshua and Caleb were the only two Jews that made it into the Promised Land. And I was like, no, I was just the only two among the men of the age between 20 and 60 or something like that.
20, I think it's above 20.
Above 20, yeah. Right.
I don't remember.
Right, cool. All right, let's see. I'm going to log in now, and I'll put the phone number up on your screen. 1 second.
Ooh. Okay.
Available. Now, listen, as soon as we get a phone call, we'll take the call over the text, okay? There it is.
My email, Laura A., my email.
Just type it in there. Rabbi, you can just comment in the chat.
Okay.
That way they can all
let
have
me
it
do
there.
that?
Oh yeah, you just.
I thought it wouldn't let me do that.
Yeah, you say hi sometimes, right? There you go. WhatJewsBelieve.org is the website, by the way. And if you don't have the book, you're missing it. It's good stuff. Very good stuff. Phone number's on your screen, 855-952-4253. The phone lines are open. You can call in now. Probably only have time for one caller, so unless you're just calling to say hello, of course.
Well, it didn't work?
Let's see. Let me
Yeah, there it is.
Good deal.
Okay.
Good deal.
Rabbi Stuart at hotmail.com.
I need to add that.
I got to tell you something, though. I think it was Laura. I don't always look at the email as well as I should. So be patient about getting an answer. And don't hesitate to email until, I respond.
And it was Rabbi Stuart at what?
Rabbi Stuart, Stuart, not EW. Stuart, Rabbi Stuart at hotmail.com. Okay, a question can be about anything you want, Aaron. Doesn't mean I'll know the answer, but I can try.
Okay.
If I don't know, I'll go find out for you.
All right, now I'll put it on your screen.
Devin's right. Remember to hit like. Push this YouTube thing.
Yeah. And you guys, if you haven't subscribed to us already, definitely do that if you're enjoying this, and that's awesome. I want to try to help the YouTube search algorithms as much as possible, so this information needs to get out, So.
Michael, you're right. Women as judges like Deborah was also a first at that time that I know of.
There you go. You're up now. WhatJewsBelieve.org, Rabbi Stuart at hotmail.com.
Yep.
Perfect. Very good. All right, well.
Trust me, I don't know everything. I'll try to find out and help if I can. And I can always give you my opinion for what little it's worth.
All right. Well, actually, there isn't any questions. I don't see any specific questions in chat. So we may just go ahead and wrap it up. It's about 5 till the hour now. So you did good on that. It's a good timer. Good timing for you because you kind of.
We're gonna hang up and I go, oh, I forgot to say this. Oh, I should have said that.
Yeah, that's how it always is, though, right?
Yeah, it always is.
For sure. That's all right. Well, good deal. All right, Rabbi. Well, you have a great night. Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you all a little later on the other side. Peace out, everybody. Have a great week. Shalom, Rabbi.
Shalom, shalom.
Let's get the finger dance. Take care, everybody. Peace.